Hello, everyone. I'm Gilla Ross, host of the Power Up podcast. I'm a mum of 8 kids, and for my kids, Tu B'Shvat is super exciting. There's a custom to have 15 fruits, and we try and do that. We cut up a whole variety, different colors, different tastes, and my kids get so excited about it. But what about for us adults? What's the relevance of Tu B'Shvat, of the New Year for trees, for us adults? Come along with my Wednesday night group and we're going to have an amazing discussion looking at the relevance and 3 insights from Tu B'Shvat. What Tu B'Shvat is.
The New Year for the trees.
Yes, that is right. It is the New Year for the trees. And that explains it all. So you're free to go. Any questions?
Why this date in particular?
It's a great question. Why this date in particular? We're going to get to that question. You know what? I'm going to throw the question around differently, Gemma. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it, because if you went to a Jewish preschool or a Jewish school, you may have grown up thinking that, Tu B'Shvat is the new year for the trees. And you probably thought, yay, it's the new year for the trees, and we eat fruit and we plant trees or whatever else we do. And you probably didn't realize that that's actually really weird, right? Like, oh, it's the new year for the tree. Like, try explaining that to someone who's new to it. Like, what on earth does it mean? So the fascinating truth about it is that the new year for the trees is very technical. What do I mean by that? Is that in Judaism, there's 4 New Years. There's the New Year's for human beings, which is Rosh Hashanah, which is most well known. Now, the reason why Tu B'Shvat is the new year for the trees, it's because in Judaism, especially when we lived in Israel, there were certain laws that were related to agriculture, right? For example, if you're a farmer, then you would have to give 10% of your produce to the temple, and there was a whole 7-year cycle, etc., etc. So what Tu B'Shvat meant was that was the cutoff, right? Before Tu B'Shvat is the previous year, after Tu B'Shvat is the next year in terms of calculating your produce. Not very exciting, right? So what on earth is this holiday, this semi-holiday about? Now I'm going to Gemma asks us a little bit like, why is particular this year? But let me ask you this time of the year. Let's say you were fixing a day, whether you're fixing a day to celebrate fruit trees or you're fixing a day to be the cutoff. What time of the year would you choose to be Tu B'Shvat?
Spring.
To be here for the trees.
Spring.
Why?
It's like the new bloom and the blossoms and everything's growing and the new saplings are appearing.
Yeah.
Although probably now, like just before spring is good because everything's like getting ready for that to happen.
So Tash is very optimistic, but for the rest of us, if you look out,
Spring will come. Schools will go back.
Alyssa noticed some flowers today.
Sorry?
Alyssa found some flowers just starting to grow in our garden today. So
really?
Not so far. Yeah, some crocuses.
That's amazing. That's amazing. But if you look, the truth is, if you look outside right now, right? I mean, we've had snow this week. The trees are pretty bare, right? If you'd probably think that whatever, this is not the time to celebrate the trees. But the truth is, the reason why we celebrate the trees is I think what Tash actually said is because what's going on beneath is that the sap, which is what eventually feeds the trees and starts the process of growth, is starting to rise at this time of the year. So the significance, right? The significance of Tu B'Shvat being at this time of the year, in answer to Gemma's question, is because it's sort of an insight to teach us is that it's not just about the end result, right? And this is like something that comes up again and again and again in Judaism, is that it's not just about the end result, it's about the process. And Tu B'Shvat is agriculturally when it's starting to happen, right? The sap is starting to grow slowly, slowly, slowly. It's gonna rise. It's gonna start growing, and we're gonna have we're gonna have eventually blossoms and fruits and growing from the truth, from the trees. And we're celebrating not just the end product, but the whole process. So the start of the process is it. And as human beings, in Judaism oftentimes compares mankind, human beings, to trees, right? It says because human beings are like a tree, right? What does it mean like that? Is because we have our tree, like tree has fruits, right? As human beings, we have deeds and we have accomplishments. We have things to show for ourselves. And those are considered like the fruit. And I think for hello to Jacobs on Instagram. So for I think as human beings and in the society we live in, it's very easy to celebrate the end product. You finish reading a book, you're like, yes, I finished it. You finish putting away the laundry, you're like, yes, I finished doing it. You finish a project, you feel accomplished. But what Tu B'Shvat is teaching us is it's not just the end of the process that we celebrate, but the beginning, right? Because every accomplishment starts with something, right? And that something is something to celebrate as well. And that's why we celebrate Tu B'Shvat right now in the dead of winter, when it looks like nothing is happening, but really below the surface, it's starting to happen. Now, let me ask you another question. Why specifically fruit, right? We could celebrate vegetables, we could celery sticks, for those of us who are on the still hanging in on the January healthy kick. Anyone? If you are, don't raise your hand. We don't want to know. Why specifically fruits are we celebrating?
Natural. It's sweet. Like you said, it blossoms, it blooms, almost like a personality coming out through in the growth, like the roots, and maybe developing like not a persona, but you know what I mean, like genes, like if you kind of like contrast it with a human being, but it's all like the foundation, literally, to then the foundation, and then like you said, things develop naturally, organically.
Yep. Okay.
Is it like hope?
Yes, but I would say like specifically fruit as opposed to, let's say, vegetables. And I'll tell you a little story. So today when I was picking up my kids, so I had a couple of the trays in my car that I was delivering to people. And my 9-year-old daughter, she looked in the car and she was like, oh, that's delicious. Now, had that been a tray of, I don't know, vegetables, I don't think she would have
not appealing.
Not as appealing. Why? Because if you think about it, fruit is an extra, right? Do we need fruit to survive? I don't know. I don't know enough about nutrients and whether we could get it from other things. But if you think about it, right? I don't know how many of you, when you're really busy and you haven't had something to eat and you grab an apple from the fridge or from like a fruit bowl. Think about it. It's amazing, right? Here you have this ready-made fruit, right? You don't have to cook it. You don't have to peel it. Just give it a little wash, and you bite into it, and it's delicious, and it's satisfying, and it's sweet, and there's such a variety of it, and the colors, right? I made for our family on Tu B'Shvat, there's a custom to have 15 different types of fruits because it's the 15th of the month. So I made like a platter. I just cut up fruits for our family, for the kids, and it's something that we do every year, just 15 different types of fruits. And it's like such a simple thing to do. And the kids get so excited by it. Why? Because it's like all the different colors and all the different tastes, and it's sweet, and it's like, and Tu B'Shvat is a day where it's a day to remind ourselves that fruit is a gift. It's an extra from God, right? God put the fruit onto the earth for us to have, to enjoy, for no other reason except for God to just, for us to just enjoy it. And there's a story about a rabbi who would, and he said that he used to taste every single fruit that he could, everything that he could, and he was asked, like, why are you tasting so many different fruits? And he said, because God made them for us, so I'm going to enjoy it, right? So it's such a different way of thinking about it, and I don't know, I'm not going to talk for anyone else, I'm sure it's different for all of you, but for me, sometimes I go through the day and I'll, take a fruit and take something else and just mindlessly eat it. And Tu B'Shvat is a day to stop and think, hold on a second, we have these fruits, this complete extra that's put in our life, and just because God loves us. And there's something in Judaism, I don't know if anyone has ever done this, which is called like a Tu B'Shvat Seder. Has anyone ever done that? It's a little bit of Kabbalistic. I see a few, Gemma, Jackie, anyone else? Anyone else? And basically what it is I've never actually done one, but I've heard so much about it. And there's a custom to have the 7 species that grow in Israel on Tu B'Shvat as well, which are wheat, barley, figs, pomegranates, olives, dates, and grapes. And for those of you that got your little packs, I put one of these in it. For anyone that didn't get a pack and wants one, I will send it to you. Just let me know and I will send it to you.
I didn't get.
Who didn't?
Me, I didn't get one, but I got the tray.
Was it not at the bottom? Was it not at the bottom of your tray?
No.
Okay, so it must have fallen out. So I'll drop it off. I'll drop it off with you.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I did my seders for years at King David, Liverpool. I've done them till they're coming out of my ears. I just miss it this year. Bit sad.
Yeah. Yes. So you're a pro. And basically, what we do is we go through the different ones and like sort of each fruit. Each one of the 7 species have a lesson for us. So for example, it says figs, right? So figs is one of the 7 species, sorry. And it needs to be picked as soon as they are ripe. Otherwise they go bad very quickly. So the question we can ask ourselves is, what opportunities do I have in my life now to do good? Anyone wants to go with that? What opportunities do you have that's right now, that if you don't act now may go? Anyone wants to share anything?
Well, I suppose you can, sign of the pandemic, you can check up on people who unfortunately haven't been well, and that's something you can do right now.
Yes, that Martin, that's very, very insightful. I think that with the isolation that people are, not isolation, but just lone, people, we're not seeing each other as much, right? It's an opportunity to reach out and show people that you still care about them, right? Even with the lockdown and everything. And I think you're right, Martin. This is an opportunity that will hopefully pass soon. Anyone else can think of any opportunity that we have in our life, or they have in their life right now that might...
I think, like Martin said, you can kind of take care of people to a certain extent that are a little bit like poorly, but obviously not got corona. And I just do like a small thing of like just dropping off food shopping for my parents, which I did today. They're still able-bodied and they do go to the supermarket, but just don't like to think with them without food. So like I went to the deli and I got a few bits at Marks and Spencer's, and it gives me pleasure to think that they enjoy the food, which they do, and then they have it and they text me later and say, I really enjoyed what you got for dinner. And even like you said, like a piece of fruit, I got like some papaya for my mum, and like mangoes and kiwis. And there's something about Marks and Spencer's, the fruit tastes so much better than the supermarkets. It's not just because obviously it is expensive, but it does taste better. But then on saying that, they do like 4 different types of fruit, like, and vegetables every 2 or 3 days, which is itself like 65p. And the mangoes are just like incredible. And they do this like custard thing, like from Spain. It's in like a green kind of color, like green and white. And inside it is literally like custard with like these black seeds in which you could almost make a necklace with. Do you know, the kind of that thing. And it's just really nice. It's just really good.
Yeah, so it's like Lindsay is saying, like Martine, that right now we're an opportunity to show other people that we care for them. Anyone else wants to weigh in with it?
Support small businesses, or support friends that are starting small businesses at the moment.
Yes, that is actually really, really true. You know, to support small businesses that are really feeling the impact of the lockdown. That is a good point.
Just trying to live in the present. I think it's important now. We've got this opportunity to homeschool, you know, they haven't got our poor children haven't got friends to play with, and the only excitement they get is to see their friends on a Zoom. So, and to grab the opportunity, I did that on was it 2 days ago? Was it Monday morning? I just thought, right, I'm not doing Zoom. This is the first time that Adina's seen snow and is able. So the sledge has been in the garage since my older son, who's now 14, he was about 5 or 6 when we went last sledging. So I thought, right, grab the moment, and we went sledging in Heaton Park. So, you know, if you try to look long term at the moment, you get quite depressed. So I think, you know, sometimes it's just
moment by moment. Yes, excellent. Thank you. Yes, sometimes we just got to take the moment and just go with that moment. So let's move on to another one, which is olives. Olives produce fine oil after going through a process of being crushed and pressed. Beautiful things can emerge from challenges. Is there anything in our lives that is difficult now? Can we envision something productive emerging as a result? So I think in terms of the first question, I think a lot of us can answer that yes, you know, certainly things in life are a lot more difficult now than, let's say, they were about a year ago, or so. They may be, depending on people's personal circumstances. But can we envision anything positive coming from this? Anyone wants to weigh in? And it doesn't have to be COVID, it could be anything.
Little things. Oh, go on.
No, go on, you go first.
I was just going to say, like building on getting the opportunity to educate our children, I guess you have time to do things that you might not have otherwise had time to do.
Okay.
And time to like teach them about things that they're interested in or that you want to share with them that you might not otherwise have had the opportunity to do.
All right.
I also think maybe the time with your partner. I find it amusing that I feel like even though we've been together for so long, the last year and a half, it feels like another 10 or 20 years on top of that, which I'm happy for. I'm happy. I truly am, but it's like get to know that person all over again, because we used to work, pick up the kids, take them to activities, you know, you all get time and you just find the time on the weekend. And now we have time in the evenings, Mondays, Tuesdays, we're pretty much at home. He's working at home with the kids at home. So we pretty much see each other every day, all the time. And it's very interesting.
Jack, you're raising a very, very good point. For a lot of couples, they're spending a lot more time together, and it could be challenging. Let's be honest, it can be challenging, but it's also an opportunity. So yeah. Anyone else wanted to share anything else?
I wanted to say that I think for our environment, you know, we're crying out for trying to save our planet, and obviously you can bring this back to Tu B'Shvat and nature, but the fact that so many more people can't go anywhere and can't use aeroplanes, you know, we're doing the environment a favor, and things that are we've taken, like you said, you take so much for granted. The things that we can't do anymore, when we can do them, we will really, really appreciate them. And it's like going back to basics. The small little things suddenly seem so exciting. It's a different appreciation for things, and hopefully we'll be better for it.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll take away a renewed sense of gratitude. Yep.
I think it's also like taught me that like I don't have to do as much as I did. Like the weekends don't have to be full of activities, and like my evenings I don't have to have stuff planned. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like the weekends are, you know, you can go for a walk, go to the park, and that's like the excitement of the weekend, and that's also fine. I mean, I'd like a bit more, but you know.
Yes, but you know, I think that's a very, very good point, that to realize that a lot of what we did fill our days with was just busy stuff. It's not necessarily important stuff, or not necessarily, you know. Yeah, I hear that for sure.
I think it seems more like real life is more real, but like really real. And I'd almost say it's like less like superficial, like because people are limited to what they can do, where they can go. So it's almost like they can be more themselves. They don't have to, I suppose, like entertain. Not that I don't mind entertaining or going out, but you can actually be you, I suppose, in a way.
I hear that. Let's move on to another one. Let's do pomegranates. Pomegranates contain 613 seeds, the exact same number of mitzvot that there are in the Torah. What extra mitzvot can I try and do today to become a better person? That's the lesson that we can learn from the pomegranate. Any thoughts? Any ideas?
Relevant to now, you mean?
Anything. It's an open-ended question, so you can go with it any way you want.
I haven't got like kind of like specific like regime or things to go about it, but I kind of imagine the pomegranates as like little jewels, and each person is like a jewel in a positive way, and each jewel's got like their own kind of unique being within that.
Just maybe seeing the good in other people.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes easy, sometimes very, very hard.
Comes down to judgment again, doesn't it? I feel like the word judgment is relevant to everything we're talking about.
Yes, and I'm well aware that we did not get into part B last week of who we have to judge and who we don't have to judge, right? Because we didn't do that. And we will, if people want, we will continue and discuss that as well. Because not company, right? But that's a whole nother discussion. Let's do the grapes. Grapes are connected to the characteristic of joy. What can I do to increase a sense of joy in my life and the life in my family? Anyone wants to go?
I think what was said before about living in the present, I think, which is obviously there's not many other options right now. Well, obviously you could choose not to, but there's less distraction. So I guess in a way it's probably easy to live in the present. And I think that's probably the most relevant thing.
Yeah. I think like something simple for me, which we've done, is just put some music on in the house. And it just like, you know, makes things like even something small like that, where you put some music on and like we dance and whatever. And it's just, it lightens the mood a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Like getting outside.
Yes.
Like getting some fresh air and going, so it can just change like everything, like some exercise, just doing something.
I know, and when I tell my kids, let's go for a walk, they all get so excited.
Are you serious?
I was going to say mine would be like, I want to be on the iPad.
My
Nowadays, everything
they
excites
go like,
them.
why do we have to go out? No.
I feel like when this is over, no one's going to visit their park again, and no one's ever going to go on a walk again.
Like, do you remember when we used to walk?
You know what's going to happen is everyone's going to say, oh, remember how we used to go to the park and it was so nice. We used to go for walks. And you're all going to forget all the hard times we had to get everyone out the house.
Sure.
But you know what? I tell my kids, I'm like, it's good for your mental health. And they're like, no, we're not coming. No. Any other things that we can do to sort of increase joy in our life?
Try and not sweat the small stuff, which is something that I definitely don't do. As in, I do sweat small stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's also not sweating the small stuff. It's hard, but it's also something that can be helpful with the whole homeschooling situation, because a lot of the pressure is sweating the small stuff, right? Like, it's okay if we have a bad day or a bad week. Right? We shall
a bad couple of weeks.
Gotcha.
Come on, it's almost March 8th, you know. Well, we won't mention that. We won't mention that. That's something we can do to increase the joy, not mention it. How long away it is.
Or not watch the news.
Don't watch the news.
Yeah,
Forget
don't watch the news.
the small stuff. It's the big stuff. Avoid the news, avoid social media, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you worry, like if your kid's not done like a bit of work, and then you feel guilty that they've not done it, and then it's like, well, actually, it's fine. It's one piece of work. It's not gonna, you know, it's 5. It's not going to affect his life. But I just feel it makes me feel guilty, and I shouldn't.
Yeah, and just a reminder, because I spent 10 years in Canada, the UK system, they push young kids very early
Too
on.
much.
And in Canada, they start formal education a bit later on, and it's much more play-based in the early years. And when my kids got here, my younger kids, like the year reception, the year 2 kids were a little bit behind. But interestingly enough, my older kids, like the year 4, the year 6 kids, were ahead of their British peers. So
Wow.
really don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say, I didn't sweat the small stuff yesterday when Mike decided to put his hand through the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I feel like the fact that I'm still married is a massive deal.
I don't even think that's not even that small. That's, you know, getting close to big.
It is really, because we have got other
just
bedrooms.
A small hole.
Yeah, it's just a small, massive hole in the ceiling. It's fine though. We're healthy and we're happy. We've got a roof over. We've got a partial roof over our head.
Can I just say, that's a massive achievement. Really.
But if I'm going to be really honest, it's only because it's the one room that hasn't been decorated. Otherwise, I would not have had the same attitude.
How'd you put your hand through a ceiling?
Have you not met Mike? Seriously?
I have, and I still have that question.
Well, you don't know him well enough is all I can say. He's a talented soul.
What we would do to be flies on the wall yesterday. Oh. All right. I mean, there's more questions on here. You can feel free to go through it. Again, if anyone didn't get it, I will please send it to you afterwards. I just want to end off with a final idea that we can learn from Tu B'Shvat. So Tu B'Shvat happens in the dead of winter, as we said. It's you know, for us in Manchester, it's snowing this week. You look outside. If you didn't know better, you'll think it's dead, right? There's nothing going to grow ever again. Tu B'Shvat comes, and it's a reminder that life is a cycle. Interestingly, Tu B'Shvat, on the Hebrew date of Tu B'Shvat, why it's called Tu B'Shvat is because it's Tet Vav, which is the 15th of Shvat. Now, the Hebrew calendar, the month goes by the moon, so that it starts when the moon is little, and then it gets bigger. So the 15th of the month is when the moon is full in the sky, right? And it's a reminder that life has ups and downs. Life, the moon waxes and wanes, right? Life has ups and downs. There's a cycle. But spring is on its way. Better times can come. Better times will come, right? And in Judaism, we're taught that, in the blink of an eye, things can improve, things can get better. And that's another thing that Tu B'Shvat reminds us of, is that life's a cycle. And better times are on the way. Spring is on the way. Things are going to bloom again, and it's going to life will look up again. So those are a few small insights that we can learn from Tu B'Shvat. Number one, that we celebrate not just the end, but we celebrate the beginning, the initiation of a process, right? The whole process is valuable, not just the end of the process, right? Tu B'Shvat, the beginning, Tu B'Shvat is when it's starting, right? The whole growth cycle is starting. We celebrate that part of it as well. Number two is that we can enjoy the gift of fruits, that God has given us this extra special thing in our life. It's ready-made, it's colorful, it's so many tastes, and it's there just as an extra, just for God. God has given it to us, for us to enjoy in our life. And it's something for us to stop and think, wow, we have this gift in our life, and to learn different lessons from nature, as we sort of saw in this little sheet that we got. And the third thing is, Tu B'Shvat reminds us, is that just like the tree is dead right now, but it's going to grow again. Spring is on its way, and better times will come.
Thank you for spending your time and listening to this podcast. Was it helpful? I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me on Instagram at Gila Ross, or you can get in touch via WhatsApp. And if you benefited from this in any way, please share the word and leave us a rating or a review, and subscribe for future episodes. Thank you again for spending your time with the Power Up podcast, and have a great day.